Hi everyone, it's Norman Koshnick here yet again, here to give you an update on the newspapers, the Australian newspapers, and what they're saying in regards to this ICC T20 World Cup here in Australia. Of course, again, I'm at the MC during the backdrop of the stadium on my right shoulder, over your left view, with the likes of Rod Laver's arena there for the Australian Open Tennis and the Yarra River and Federation Square, where they often celebrate Australian victories quite heavily. But I've got the Herald Sun. Here is a typical Melbourne paper. We had the Sydney Telegraph, or the Sydney Telegraph there from Sydney yesterday. Today we've got the Herald Sun, and I'll go through a couple of articles from that, as well as a renowned Australian paper. In fact, it's called The Australian. So we'll go through some of the articles that we've got in those papers. In fact, the Herald Sun, very straight to the point. It's talking specifically about the journey of the World Cup to actually get here, and not just simply the team itself, but more concentrated on Australia. They actually talk about some 90,000 kilometres quest to bring the actual cup, or the home cup, to us in glory. They talk in terms of a Star Trek-like effect of a plane toughing it out, and they talk in terms of how the likes of New Zealand will be playing Australia, how they'll also have the travelling of comparisons between the teams. In fact, they talk about New Zealand having travelled 3,784 kilometres, England travelling 4,836, India 6,752, South Africa some 8,772, but Australia topping it all, having travelled 8,997 kilometres. Quite an interesting article itself. Talks also about an article from Ben Horn, who's a noted writer, $4 million rain threat to T20 Cup. So there's a distinct threat about the way that the tournament will go in terms of rain and the potential of rain hitting. Well, you wouldn't think so today, looking at the way that Melbourne's weather is as crystal clear as you can get. A bit chilly, but excellent day indeed. We've also got an article here about Zampa. He uses his energy for good. So he talks about the energy, the starting conversation with his partnership with an energy company, in fact, Alinta, which is the major sponsor of the Australian cricket team. There's also an article here about Warner as being unlikely to lift the lid, in fact, on the sandpaper gate in his book. So there's discussion about the book that he's planning on putting out. David Warner signed up to an autobiography, in fact, but his manager believes it won't be an tell-all about lifting the lid on their sandpaper gate. So that's one thing we can put to bed right there and then. Smith snub, as in Steve Smith snub from him in the team selection, sets up a David and Goliath battle in terms of who will actually get the place, whether the spotlight placed on Tim David, whether he's worthy of taking on the mantle of what Steve Smith has left behind. So that's what we encountered in the Herald Sun. A very, very good paper, again duplicated in Sydney and Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane I should say as well, with the likes of the Courier Mail and Telegraph or Daily Telegraph. The Australian, again, that's published throughout the country. It has a lot of articles about other sports, but it does turn to Australian cricket in particular, centering on Australia, but about the World Cup. Zampa puts his spin on the debate about the whole aspect of the conversation we were talking about with the Alinta Energy debate and how that pans out. More of an off-topic discussion that the likes of Zampa has. But they're talking again about, and this is Robert Crash Craddock, noted Queensland journalist, Warner will not blow up the building when he talks about his autobiography through his actual book. So more of a lot of concentration on Dave Warner, I must admit, whether it be his future captaincy, on his autobiography, about the sandpaper gate discussions. Seems to be an endless conversation about aspects of his career other than the cricket itself. There we go. There's the paper's update today, the vlog, which will be virtually day 2 of this part of the trip. Stay tuned on Rev Sports for Norman Koshnick's update on the Australian newspapers, far and beyond. Stay tuned. This is Norman Koshnick from Rev Sports.